Overview of NAS Whidbey Island, which is 69 years old in 2011, and the ongoing military ministry of the Navigators.
NAS Whidbey Island is located about 50 miles north-northwest of Seattle as the crow flies. It takes about 2 hours to drive from Seattle-Tacoma Airport. There are 3 ways to approach the island, 2 ferry routes, and on the north end, the historic Deception Pass Bridge, which is also the most visited state park in Washington. The island's unique location in the rain shadow of the Olympic Mountains ensures Whidbey has very little rain, as little as 18 inches per year in some places. The proximity to almost any outdoor recreation you can imagine, the farming rural lifestyle of the island, good schools, and affordable housing makes it one of the #1 places for military retirees. Whidbey Island is the 4th largest island in the United States, with 145 miles of coastline, 7 zip codes, 6 state parks, 1 national park, and 3 school districts. Yet 90% of the island's economy is tied to the Navy base. Just before World War II began, the US Navy needed a base in the Puget Sound area where seaplanes could safely land and refuel, and one where the weather was a little more cooperative than the other western Washington bases. The decision to locate this base at Oak Harbor, Washington on the north end of Whidbey Island occurred on the 27th January 1941. And the base was quickly built. It was commissioned on the 21st September 1942. Both a seaplane base and concrete runway were built. The first executive officer was Commander Willis Bradley Haviland, who was a pioneer military pilot in World War I and a Naval Air Station commanding officer in World War II. As the 16th American volunteer in the Lafayette Escadrille, he was among the first air combat pilots to fight the Germans in World War I. Before the United States officially entered the war. He would later become the first pilot to launch a plane from a battleship. The runway was named a year later after Commander William B. Ault, who was missing in action in the Battle of the Coral Sea.
The first airplane to land at NAS Whidbey, even before the base was commissioned, was a Texan SNJ-5. The airplanes which then operated out of NAS Whidbey included the F-4F Wildcat carrier fighters, F-6F Hellcat fighters, PV-1 Ventura patrol bombers, SBD Dauntless dive bombers, PBY Catalina patrol boat, PBM Mariner patrol boat, B-26 Marauders were used to tow targets, P-2V Neptune patrol bombers, P-5M2 Marlin patrol bombers, and even the USS Salisbury Sound, AV-13, was stationed at Whidbey as a seaplane tender. More recently, the seaplanes gave way to the P-3C Orion patrol aircraft, the EP-3A Ares II and electronic surveillance aircraft, while the fighters and bombers were replaced by the famous 2-seat A-6 Intruder medium attack jet and the 4-seat EA-6B Prowler electronic warfare jet. Today, the Intruder is no more, and the Prowler is partway through being replaced by the new F-18 variant called the EA-18G Growler. The base has also been served by various transport, trainers, and SAR helos. This base has sent out men and women to fight in World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Bosnian War, the Gulf War, and most recently the War on Terrorism in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya.
The Navigators at NAS Whidbey Island see God's hand in bringing so many people through this tiny base these last 69 years. It's the people, not the airplanes or buildings, which God has called us to reach with His good news. These, then, are our mission field. These are the fields which are white for harvest. In 2011, the base is made up of 7 groups of people. 8,300 enlisted active duty, 1,700 officers active duty, 24,000 dependents, 14,000 retirees, over 350 reservists, 2,500 civil service and contractors, and over 50 Canadian forces and their families. That means there are approximately 50,900 people who access NAS Whidbey Island at any particular time. The Navigator work on Whidbey Island began decades ago, thanks to our spiritual forerunners in Christ. Because they laid the foundation then, today's Navigators continue to build into the community through various ministry activities, to include potluck gospel studies, small groups, one-on-one discipleship, conferences, service projects, and various fun activities like camping or picnics. Today, there are 11 Navigator associate staff members assigned to NAS Whidbey Island. In November 2009, Clay and Bev Miller came on staff and started holding a Wednesday night potluck Bible study. In 2010, they were soon followed by Roy and Margaret Sherwood, who moved to Whidbey Island from Colorado just to help Clay and Bev. At the same time, God brought Lou and Kathy Van Sant and Amy Malmcar onto staff. In 2011, God added to their numbers when Luke and Anna Brown, both on active duty, joined the team as associate staff. Most recently, Lieutenant Colonel Tyler Fitzgerald and his wife Anna have answered God's call to retire from the Army in Colorado and move their family to Whidbey Island to join the Navigator team as associate staff members. The mission of the Navigators here is to know Christ and make Him known to the world through NAS Whidbey Island. Our goal is to reach all people here by 2022. If I will pray and ask God to give me one faithful man,
If I will pray and ask God to give me one faithful woman,
and I disciple that man for 1 year,
and I disciple that woman for 1 year,
at the end of the year, if I have taught him
her
everything I know about Christ, including how to reach another faithful man,
or faithful woman for Christ,
then at the end of that year, there will be 2 of us.
there will be 4 of us for the kingdom.
If we each start over again, then at the end of the 2nd year, there will be 4 of us.
There will be 8 of us.
At this rate, in just 12 years,
In just 11 years,
we will reach 50,900 people who access NAS Whidbey.
this is spiritual multiplication.
This is 2 Timothy 2:2 in action. And he was saying to them, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." Luke 10:2.